And we're live. Hello, everyone. This is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Do Rebel, and welcome to the Jeet Kune Do Dialogues episode number 52. Today, we will be dialoguing with Clay Pratka of Texas JKD Athletic Club. And if we're lucky and the technology works well, we might be joined later on by some other special guests. All right, so as you guys are logging in, you know the deal. Say where you're logging in from. Hey, Sifu Randy. Hey, Sifu Singh. Good to see you. You know, I just realized something. Okay, I'll keep this one to myself. All right, so the invites are sent. Mr. Pratka does use an iPhone, so we should be fine. Hi, Daniel Smith. Thanks for logging in. Yeah, this is gonna be a good one. I can feel it in my bones. You know, I'm good like that. All right. Okay. So we're waiting for Clay to come on in. For the remainder of March. Okay. All right. This should work smashingly. Okay. Look at you.
Hello.
All right, can you get a little bit closer because your volume's kind of low, or raise the volume on your phone or something?
Let's see. I just dug these earphones out, so. How's that? Okay. Is that better?
A little bit better.
Let me see if I can just drag this closer.
Yeah. I should have found out whether or not you're a technical guy.
Technical enough today. Okay. We got it to work.
All right, cool. All right, well, listen, it's an awesome pleasure to make your acquaintance, man. I've been looking forward to this ever since, okay, so I told you before, but I'll tell everybody who's watching now. Now, you know what? Let me do it this way. Let's do this. First question. How, because I got so many questions for you. How important is the love and support of a good woman?
It's everything. It's everything. 100%. Yeah. I couldn't do anything that I've done without her, for sure.
Right. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the last step of mastery. We all try to master our martial art, but you can't master life if you don't have a good woman.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing. I have not been able to follow your chronology or work out your chronology exactly.
Okay.
So what the start of your martial art life, how old were you and what was that in? And then I'll try to fill in my own blanks.
Okay. So I started pretty much like everyone did, you know, before I even found a place to train. I was trying to train on my own. I was ordering all the VHS tapes, trying to do everything I could because there wasn't a lot. From a small town in Texas, so there wasn't a lot around where I'm at. Mm-hmm. When I finally started training, I did a little bit of, it was either traditional karate, a little bit of taekwondo, a couple things that I tried, but didn't really stick with any of those. And then pretty much went almost right into a Jeet Kune Do concepts group when I was about 10 years old. Okay, so that was the garage group, right? Yeah. Okay. It was a local guy teaching out of a garage here in the town that I'm in Campo.
You were 10 years old.
10, yes.
Already influenced by. Hang on a second. Already influenced by Bruce Lee.
Oh yes, 100%.
At age 10.
Yeah.
Because I read in your bio about watching kung fu films on TV and what have you. Yeah. All right. Well, you got to know that that's a little bit weird, right? For a 10-year-old from Texas to be watching kung fu films.
I have two older brothers, and they kind of help raise me. So I watched pretty much whatever they wanted to watch.
Did they train too, or?
My older brother trained a little bit. He's actually one of the ones that kind of got me into martial arts a little bit, but not something that he really pursued a lot. They train with me now. So.
Oh, they do really?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you this: did you ever have to, you know, like siblings fight, right?
Oh, of course.
So did you ever have to show them not to mess with you because of the skills that you had acquired before they did?
Oh, 100%, Dwight. That's half the reason I got onto this journey. I tell people all the time, you know, both of my brothers had they had a tendency to they wanted to make sure that I was tough. They wanted to make sure that I was ready for the world. So toughening me up was a pretty important part of their process. So once I started training, you know, I think half of my mindset was around making them proud, you know, making them realize that I was tough. The other half was so that I could get them off of me.
Right. And you set up your own training gym, like in your garage also, right? Okay.
Yeah,
tell me about the equipment that you put in there. What did you have in there?
I went to Walmart and just bought those cheap puzzle mats that you can get for like fitness gyms. Okay. And so we matted the floors. I had a heavy bag. I had a speed bag. I had a double end bag. I had some, you know, basic weights. You know, pretty typical stuff. Okay. Just for a garage setup, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. I had a job at the supermarket, so I took a big sugar sack, right, and filled that up with old rags that my mom kept to make my first heavy bag. And then one day I took my brother into the garage and I go, okay, you hit the heavy bag. So he's like, you know, then I went like this, wham, and made it fly. We never fought after that. All right. Okay. So you go to the garage and you mentioned that they had a separate jiu-jitsu class.
Yeah. When I started, we were doing like, you know, boxing and Muay Thai, you know, the pretty typical stuff. The Filipino arts were kind of incorporated into the same, you know, with the Jeet Kune Do class. And then we would do jiu-jitsu on the side. Okay.
Why do you think they had it separate?
I think that's just the way that, I mean, even still today, I see it a lot. I think that's just the way that, it was done at that time, you know. A lot of it, probably the mats, you know, a lot of people weren't training maybe on mats at that time. So, you know, it was like kind of, we had to finish the Jeet Kune Do training, and then we would put the mats down to do the jiu-jitsu. You know, nowadays I don't. Nowadays, you know, I incorporate the jiu-jitsu right into my JKD classes. But at that time period, yeah, that was definitely the way it was done.
And you think that, so that was back then, and you say that you see it still being done that way in other places.
Often, yes.
And you think it's because of that, like the mats or what have you? Or?
No, I don't. Honestly, I think that you know, it's only certain arts that you really see that with. You know, everybody's fine, you know, kind of blending whatever they want into Jeet Kune Do nowadays. But when you take something like jiu-jitsu, I think people want to put on the gis, and so that changes things. People want to utilize the ranking system, and so you know, of all the things that people cross-train in, that seemed to be the one art that everybody wanted to embrace the entire art of jiu-jitsu rather than just incorporate some of the aspects and put it into their Jeet Kune Do. So if they're gonna brace the entire art of jiu-jitsu, then they want to put on the gis, they want to have the belts, they want to do the whole system, and so it turns into, you know, a standalone class of its own. Okay, most of the time.
That can be a point of contention, I guess, in JKD circles. Do you have an opinion on how the jiu-jitsu should be approached?
100%. No, I mean, I will single out jiu-jitsu. I mean, I train jiu-jitsu as a standalone system as well, because, you know, when I go to people that's their specialty, then that's what I'm going to do with them. But when I teach my classes at my school, there is no separation. So I mean, 1 minute we can be doing trapping, 1 minute we're boxing, and then, you know, somebody goes for a takedown, now we're on the ground, and, you know, now the jiu-jitsu comes in. So our major focus on what I feel is important to express to students today is that you don't get to pick. You may not get to choose where you're going to be. So I try to make sure that, you know, pretty much in every class that we hit all ranges of combat, so that somebody right off the bat can be exposed to everything that can happen. Right.
Now, is that there's got to be challenges in achieving that with different levels of ability and skill, right?
100%. But even without having a high level of skill, you can introduce somebody to the basics of each range pretty fast. So I mean, I would rather somebody have a little bit of exposure to everything in the beginning, have an overall understanding, and then start to develop their specialties. I look at it the same way as when you go to school. You know, if you when you're a kid and you go to school, you don't get to pick what you train. You get a little bit of history, you get a little bit of math, you get a little bit of English,
Right.
You know, you're told what to do because you need to be exposed to everything. After you know, once you get to high school, you get a little bit more options. You get to start picking your classes. You go to college, you get to pick your major, you know, but you didn't get to pick your major. You didn't get to pick what you liked and what you wanted to focus on solely until you had a universal understanding of everything that you needed to know for life. So I feel, you know, you should approach martial arts the same way. Of course, we don't want to be, you know, a jack of all trades and a master of none. So you want to you know, pick something and really develop it to a high level. But I think prior to that, you should have a base understanding of all the places that combat could go, meaning, you know, you should be proficient in each range of combat for sure.
Yeah. That's the second or third time that the word mastery has escaped your lips. Why is mastery important?
Because I think it's the one thing that we can't never actually achieve. It creates the journey.
So, right. So is that why we attempt to master things? Because that's how you will get good? Definitely.
Yeah. It keeps us on the journey.
Yeah. Talking about journey. So you get in your bio, you guys called it the Kung Fu Adventure. Right? Okay. First of all, you were crazy to attempt it. Right? But I, for one, am glad that you did. What was the inspiration for that?
For which part specifically?
Well, okay. So, again, it goes back to my difficulty in narrowing down your chronology.
Okay.
It's when you left Texas and went out to California.
Yes.
Right. You were not yet part of the JKD Athletic Club, were you?
Yes, I was part of the JKD Athletic Association from day one. As soon as it was founded, I was a part.
Oh, okay. So I got this chronology all messed up. All right. So okay. So the Garage Group is your introduction to JKD concepts.
Yes. That was a completely different time, different group.
Okay.
And
all right. So let's deal with what came immediately after that. Then in your travels.
Yeah. So after that, I continued to train. I traveled a lot. Trained all over, not just Jeet Kune Do. Trained a lot of different styles. Wanted to see what else was out there. Wanted to have a better lens that I could compare from. And then ultimately, kind of ended up back with Sifu Singh. Of all the people, I trained with probably over 50 different instructors, different styles, different systems. Yeah. And he was the one that, out of everyone, you know, everybody had something to offer, but he had something that was different, and it was kind of filled in a lot of the holes that I felt hadn't been given to me in my martial arts life. Yeah. And so we made a friendship kind of immediately when we met, which was, I think, around 2005. Okay. And then I kind of kept going back to see him, and then just kind of followed him on his journey. And he was ultimately the reason then that I moved to California. So when I moved from Texas to California, me and Beverly both moved solely to train with him. We were his private students. Pretty much on a daily basis. We actually lived with him for the first few months. We lived in a spare bedroom when we moved out there. Right. So that he was the reason for the move.
Well, he says that you're the man. Okay, just so you know, he says you're the man. Right. Here's what I told him. I go, yep, he's his own block, but I think he's a little bit of a chip off yours.
Well, all we can hope for is to you know, carry on the teachings of all of our teachers, and he's been the biggest influence in my life for sure. Yeah.
So okay. So you're part of the. All right. So let's do the part about giving up regular work and regular life, right? And going out in search of the real you.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I come up from a family of entrepreneurs. My entire family is in all pretty much self-made businesses. Got kind of a network of them that all stem from each other, but a lot of them still kind of operate under the same roof. So my entire family all kind of, even though they're all running separate branches, they all pretty much work out of the same area. So it's kind of a family-owned business or chain of businesses that we operate, different things from manufacturing and the metal industry to wood to a variety of things. Okay. So I grew up, you know, doing that for work. And it was kind of just, you know, I got two older brothers that work in the business. Their wives work in the business. My mother works in the business. My father works in the business. So it's, you know, it's just was kind of what was expected of me,
Right.
you know, and I did. And it, again, like it wasn't something that I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the work. You know, we were all passionate about the things that we did. It wasn't that I didn't enjoy the work. It was just that it wasn't what my calling was. You know, I knew that.
Oh no.
Did I lose you there?
Yeah. Okay. You're back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I knew that I was, you know, meant to be doing something else. And so when I was, let's see, what year was it? 2014, I think. It was the year me and Beverly got married. So yeah, no, 2015 is when we made the move. But prior to that, I was running the sales and I was the vice president of sales and marketing for Tough Country, which is our basically like truck accessory manufacturing, so heavy duty bumpers, brush guards, things like that. Okay. And we ship nationwide and worldwide. And so I was running the sales and marketing for that. So I had a good job. We had some land that the company owned that had a house on it. So I fixed up that house. We had a great house. I had 10 acres of land.
And a dog named Kali.
Oh yeah, he's right here. Where you at, buddy? There he is.
Wow. Great dog and a great name, man. Oh my God. That's awesome.
Yeah, he doesn't leave my side. He wanted to be in the interview too. So yeah, so we pretty much just kind of left it all. I had a show truck that we used to display the products on, and I sold the truck, got a decent amount of money off of that, and just bought an old used SUV, and we loaded everything up and pretty much just let everything that we had go. Moved to California with what we had in a U-Haul trailer, and started over for the next 3 to 4 years that we were there. Wow.
That's you're more. I mean, my courageous move was, you know, from Barbados to Miami, but I had the security of going with the same company. You know, so that was a gutsy move. And you mentioned that when you guys got there, the physicality of the training was at a whole new level.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I think, you know, everything in my martial arts journey so far has been, it's like, you know, you climb a mountain, you get to the top, you're enjoying the view, and then you look over and you see there's this whole other mountain that's twice as tall as the one you just climbed. So then you got to start over. It's pretty much what my martial career has been defined by is, you know, every time I think I'm at the peak of my training or the top of, you know, something that I've accomplished, then, you know, another door opens. So, you know, I'd been training for a long time already. I was already, you know, teaching already, running a school prior to moving out there. But, you know, once I switched from just training with Super Sing on a regular coming out to see him every once in a while basis to, you know, moving into his home and becoming his, you know, his private disciple and his private daily student. Obviously things escalated a lot, and that was where really things started to change.
This is maybe an obtuse question, but when you reach the top of that mountain and you see off to the side another higher mountain, why not just give up?
I think a lot of people do. That was the reason for writing things. You read the bio, so that was the reason for writing the bio in the way that I did. Is I think often people do, but like I said, for me, it's the journey. And rather than, I mean, of course, there's going to be times where there's a moment where you've done something for so long, and then you see that, you know, you've only been, you know, exposed to a part of it, or you see a whole nother level that you didn't even know existed. But I mean, pretty much, I mean, you're going to be left with a choice. Either you're going to, you know, get sucked into your own ego and try to, you know, discredit it some way, or, you know, find some reason why it's not what you need, or else, you know, you're going to just shut up and get back to work and be excited that you're not done. You know, I started on this journey so early that, you know, every time I see another level, I'm excited to, you know that I've got that much more to grow and discover. And all I've seen now is that I'll be growing and discovering for the rest of my life, and still only going to scratch the surface. So
tell me about those levels. Like what's a level in, let's deal with Kali first. What's a level in Kali that you became aware of that can you remember?
Yeah. I mean, first going, I did a lot of the I did a lot of the drills, you know, the ones that everybody does, you know. I did a lot of that, and I knew them, I taught them, you know, I did them. But then going from that to doing the same drill, you know, I would do the same drill that I'd been teaching for years, and then I went out to start training with Sifu Singh on a regular basis, and we're doing the drill, and I feel like I don't know the drill anymore. You know, because he's putting so many things, he's putting so many changes, so many, you know, changing the rhythm, breaking the rhythm. He's, you know, throwing in half beats. He's, you know, hitting me with different angles. All of a sudden there's no pattern anymore. And I'm like, wait, I thought we were supposed to do this pattern. And he was like, no, the pattern's, you know, just how we learn. We're done with the pattern. Now I'm, you know, just block the stick, don't get hit, you know, and then everything changes. And so, you know, it's something that I had such a foundational, or thought I had such a foundational structure in, but then it was the feeling of starting over when you're doing something that you've already done is different from starting over when you're going to a new art. So yeah, that was the difference there. We also had a big influence came from Sifu Singh introduced me to the Grandmaster Darren Tabone of Angel's Disciples, the Serrata guys.
Serrata,
yeah, they were a big influence of kind of seeing, because I had seen a little bit of the, you know, a lot of the JKD guys and the Kali guys will, you know, incorporate some of the Serrata into what we do, but seeing that the way they're doing it at the level they're performing it at, you know, seeing that in its purity really influenced me a lot. Something's kind of got to be felt, but those guys were also a big influence on the Filipino arts.
Okay. Can you recall probably I mean similar, but in the JKD?
The JKD even more so. You know, it wasn't just about, you know, it wasn't just about doing things differently. It was about realizing subtle things that I think people just kind of skim over stuff. And so it was really going back, and it was like, you know, I get down there and I'm learning new things, but then it was like, okay, let's go back and let's relearn the jab, because there was things that, you know, I didn't understand about that. And so going back to the basics was always the thing that blew my mind the most, is how many times can we go back to these basic things but learn them in a new way. And that was, you know, that was huge to me, because I think, you know, and everybody's got, as you know, everybody's got their own ways of doing Jeet Kune Do, but I think a lot of times people just start pulling in, you know, whatever they want. And so then everybody's mixture is going to be a little bit different, and then everybody's progressions are a little bit different. And so I spent a lot of time being very confused. Confusion was really my enemy coming up in Jeet Kune Do, because I feel like our blessing is our curse. You know, there's so much freedom, freedom, but it can also create a lot of, you know, problems. So, you know, when you start learning things, everybody's doing things differently. So, I mean, I go one place and I'm like, this is how we're going to do this. This is how we're going to do this drill. I go somewhere else and then they show it different. And so then I'm trying to figure out, well, is that a personal difference, or is that a progression to what I'd already learned? You know, and so that's a big, I think, battle that I went through with Jeet Kune Do, and finally really getting to the JKDA and getting to Sifu Singh. He's the one who really kind of laid everything out and was like, okay, this is how we need to go through this. And made everything clearer for me.
Can you give me an idea then of what that approach is, so that you go from being confused about, you know, all so much freedom, as you said, right? So now we have to decide on a specific way to do this. Can you give me an example of what decisions you and Sifu Singh made in how to proceed?
You mean on the curriculum itself, like how we're structuring the curriculum?
Like curriculum structure. Yeah, just one example.
Okay. Well, I mean, we kind of already discussed it in the beginning. So, I mean, if you look at all the different arts that we have to, not even the arts specifically, but more, let's look at ranges of combat, all the different ranges of combat that we have to deal with. And I told you that, you know, my focus and what I try to provide for my students is to make sure that they have a good understanding of all 5 ranges of combat as early as possible. But it's also difficult and maybe not necessary to spend equal amount of time on all 5 ranges of combat in the beginning. So yeah, I mean, if you try to just raise every individual piece across the board at the same way, then you're going to keep kind of growing slow. So we have developed, you know, a way to say, okay, well, here's 5 ranges of combat. These are the 5 ranges of combat that we're going to the most important things that you need to know on the ground without going full out all the way into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and, just going down that rabbit hole. Because I know other people that they've jumped on the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu training and they're spending, 12 years trying to get their black belt. Yeah. And, that's a big commitment, which I'm still working on mine. I will get mine as well. It's not something that I love to do, but not everybody that's a Jeet Kune Do practitioner needs to go all the way to a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to be proficient. But every Jeet Kune Do practitioner does need to understand some basic ground survival in case they get taken down there. Yeah. So basically just kind of putting everything into a little bit more of a perspective of, what was most important at what level.
Okay. Now, so somebody's going to hear that you said 5 ranges of combat. And if I don't make you explain that, they're going to take me to task. Right? Okay. Because everybody knows that originally there was what we called 4 ranges of combat, but you said 5. So now you got to explain that to us.
Okay. So, the obvious kicking, punching, trapping, and then everybody would say grappling. But especially today, I feel it was back then too, it's just maybe not as well known, but especially today with the evolution of where the arts are going, there's so many people doing, MMA has become so popular that you have a whole different specialist in the clinch range than you do on the ground. Mm-hmm. So to consider people that are specialists in the clinch, to consider that to be the same as somebody that's a specialist on the ground, I think does the individual specialist a disservice. And they're 2 separate things. There's guys that are amazing in the clinch, but don't have skills on the ground. There's plenty. You can watch Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu all the time and see the guys that just, pull guard and sit on their butt. So those aren't clinch fighters. Right. They're excellent when they get you on the ground. Yeah. So just because someone has skills on the ground does not mean that they're going to have a lot of skills in the clinch. So we've kind of separated that last range into stand-up grappling clinch versus being on the ground.
Ground fighting, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. We talked about love and support of a good woman. How important is the love and support of a good teacher or mentor?
It's everything. I've been extremely blessed. Like I said, Sifu Singh is as much as I've dropped so much and let go of so much of my life and made so many sacrifices to go train with him. He's done the same for me. Like I said, all the way down. He took me into his home. Gave us a place to live when we didn't have one. So without everything that he's done for me, there's no way that we would be where we are. So it's finding the right teacher and finding the right teacher that you can relate to. Finding the right teacher that was willing to put the time into you is, I think, everything in martial arts.
Yeah. And if I read correctly, you and Beverly started packing for the trip the night of the honeymoon or the day after the honeymoon or something?
The day after we got back. Yeah, we got married at our family's ranch, and then we went on our honeymoon to Jamaica. And after the honeymoon, we pretty much I think the day we got back, we started loading up.
You two are crazy. But that reminds me of Cass Magda, who the day after he graduated college in Canada went to LA and has kind of never gone back. You know? Yeah. So here's a quote from your bio. Due to my reflections on this time, my team has worked extremely hard to instill mindset, meditation, and character development training into all of our youth programs. So tell us about the youth program, because you guys, do you specialize in competitions with the kids?
With the kids especially, yes. It's not a mandatory thing, so not all of our kids compete, but we do encourage it. Mm-hmm. It's an important part of what we're trying to instill to the youth. Martial arts for the youth is our vehicle. We want to use that to try to create better citizens. Ultimately, try to help them grow and become better people. And we use competition also as a vehicle for that, because through competition, obviously, then they're forced to get out of their comfort zone. They're forced to go into an uncomfortable situation. We get to see how they're going to deal with the pressure, the stress. But then ultimately, they're not always going to win. So even I think. In the world that we live in today, where so many people get caught up on participation trophies and everybody's a winner, I think that's BS. And it's very important we try to I try to put my students in competitions where I think that they're going to be challenged, and I often hope that they're going to, find defeat, because seeing how they're going to handle loss and learning from that loss and learning how to deal with that, I feel is such an important part for them in the future, because, not everything's going to be easy in life. Yeah. So we try to really push the competitions so that we can teach the life skills that we want them to have.
Do you get a lot of resistance from either the kids and or the parents when it comes to the whole participation trophy thing?
Not really. It doesn't happen here. Yeah. Not in my school. If you get a trophy, you want it.
That must be a Texas mentality. Yeah. I looked carefully. I mean, I really examined the pictures with the kids. I don't think I saw any belts.
There are. We do belts. Yeah. And the reasoning for the belts for the kids is just because of competition purposes. A lot of the tournaments that we go to, they will have to compete at the belt level, and they're forced to wear the belts. Right. So yeah, we incorporated it for the kids. They get belts, and that was kind of a challenging thing too, because we didn't really have that organized when we started out. We went through a lot of different phases. Mm-hmm. Pretty much a lot of our curriculum today, I modeled after the U.S. Open World Championships. It's the ISKA, so it's more of a traditional karate style tournament. But they have some other. So they have a continuous sparring, which is pretty much kickboxing, but just like old rolls above the waist. Yeah. And then they have a sport MMA that allows a little bit of grappling with the kickboxing. So those are the kind of main divisions that we do with the kids. Okay. So I kind of modeled everything after that, and pretty much just started taking my kids there. And if they were white belts and they won, then I was like, okay, here's your yellow belt, and pretty much kind of used that as the stimulus to build the curriculum. And now we have it a little more organized, where we kind of know where everybody falls. Right. But really, we didn't really know what we were getting into at first, and just kind of added the belts in later.
Yeah. I'm sorry that I didn't structure my questions in the chronological order.
Oh, no problem.
I just got to this one here. So, fight nights in the pasture.
You really did your research.
I did. Okay, so two things. First one, did the cops ever show up? And then secondly, how did that come about?
Well, as I said in the bio that you read, at that stage in my life, that was when I was in high school. So at that stage in my life, I was a dumb teenager like everyone is. Mm-hmm. And I was training in martial arts, but the group that I'd been training with had kind of faded. There wasn't a lot of them were in Houston at that point. So I didn't have that many training partners. I'd gotten into some altercations just because people do in high school. I came from a private school moving into a high school, so there was obviously, we were the new kids. Yeah. And then so after, a few things went out, the cat was out of the bag that I did martial arts. And then what happened from that is people started to come to me and approach me about, wanting to train or wanting to see what it was about or wanting to see what I did. Mm-hmm. And so then I started to work with a few people. And it wasn't a noble thing at all at that point. It was solely just my own selfish reasons of needing more bodies to test things on.
The early days of experimenting with bodies.
Yes, 100%, 100%. So we got a few people in there and started doing that. Well, then, they wanted things to test on and they wanted more bodies to test on. So I was like, well, let's do this. So we went out into the back pasture. We had my parents had a 3-acre pasture behind where we lived. We went out into the pasture and we drove some pool sticks into the ground and ran some ropes around the pool sticks and made a little makeshift boxing ring. We had one of those big Ozarka bottles, and we had a 2x4 that we got out of my dad's shop, and so we would hit the Ozarka bottle with 2x4. It sounded like a big gong. That was our bell, and basically I just had parties, and it was don't do this at home, kids. This is not something that I was proud of, but it was an important transition. So I would have parties, and everybody would pull their vehicles back into the pasture and surround it and turn on the headlights, and that lit up the boxing ring. And we would just people would come to the party, everybody would hang out, and then people at random would get in, and somebody else would get in and challenge them. And it was a way for my students at the time to get in and throw down, and then that's how we recruited more people, because somebody would get in and they would get punched, and then be like, oh, well, I need to learn something, and so we would then invite them to come train with us. Yeah. So that lasted for a couple of years while I was in high school. As I got a little older, I think by my senior year, I was starting to wise up and realize this probably wasn't the way that martial arts needed to be portrayed. It wasn't the path that I was supposed to be on. And then also, yeah, the cops did show up to the last one, so they also had a little influence.
Okay.
I don't think that they actually showed up because of the fighting even as much. They just showed up because the crowds got so big. We had several hundred people in the pasture. And, you know, it was a high school party, so, you know, they're known to bust those kind of things.
Right, yeah.
But, not necessarily a part of the past that I was proud of, but it was important. You know, that's why it's in the bio. It was an important aspect of me because it was during that time that I was doing it for completely selfish reasons, but it was during that time that I discovered that I actually enjoyed teaching and actually enjoyed sharing what I loved. And then as I started to see transformation, especially from people that, you know, maybe I had some guys that, you know, got picked on, guys that were a little shy. And then when I started to see their transformation, even more than I'd seen even in myself, you know, sometimes you don't notice it in yourself, but you see somebody else start to transform. And that's when I was like, wow, there's more to this than just fighting. I've actually improved this person's life through teaching them something that I love to do. And that's kind of when the instructor bug, I guess, started for me.
Okay. All right. So that to me is a little bit tricky. So there's more to it than fighting, but is it the competitive nature that instills that transformation, or is there something else that transforms the students?
You know, for us, we try to push it as that it's the complete lifestyle. So I think that when people start training, that if the lifestyle catches on, that's what's going to transform them the most. And when I talk about the lifestyle, that's really, I mean, you have the physical, you have the martial arts side. Everything that we do, I don't have any martial arts students that don't also go through some form of functional fitness training. So, you know, there's the aspect of taking care of your body, taking care of your life, you know, working on your health. Yeah. And then finally is, you know, what you brought up earlier is the mindset. You know, we're very big into mindset training, into meditation, and we do Tai Chi, we do Qigong. You know, I do a lot of different mysticism training, things like that. So all of that aspect coming in, you know, kind of really trying to push the whole mind, body, spirit thing. And I think when the three really come together, you start to really see a transformation in somebody as a person, even more so than just a martial artist. But probably in the earlier stage when all that wasn't really there, you know, if you're taking it back to my garage days, I think mainly the transformation came from just somebody that didn't have confidence, that didn't have, you know, physical skills, somebody that walked around scared every day, and then all of a sudden they start to learn how to fight, and then they feel different. So they feel different when they walk down the street, and that's a life-changing thing for some people. You know, I've got people that you know, that have come to me after years and, you know, came up and said, you know, the reason they were able to go on and do what they were able to do, the reason they were able to go and do a good job in an interview and get a job was because of the confidence that I gave them through martial arts training. So to me, that's the key. That's what we should all be doing. You know, how many of our students are really going to go get in the fight? You know, if you calculate how many of your students actually get in the fight and your skills save them versus how many students you have that are going to benefit from the life skills that you're going to give them, it's not comparable.
Yeah. Do you think that we emphasize that enough in the JKD world, or not at all? No, it's not.
I think it's not. I don't think it could ever be emphasized enough. You know, I feel this is our mission. Like I said, we're not living in the same time that most of these martial arts were created. You know, we're in a different world today, and there's not as much. You know, it's not the time of the samurai where people are fighting with their art every day. Yeah. So we really gotta. People need to get more real about what our purpose is and what we have. We all have an amazing gift that we can give to the world that stems so much outside of combat. I mean, that obviously that's where it comes from, but we've got to take it beyond that. I mean, we have as martial artists, we have an ability to literally change the world. You know, if you can change one person, you can change another. And so the more people that we can help and affect through martial arts, you know, that's everything to me. I think it's too often that we get too caught up in the bickering over what's better, and you know, it's just this battle of fighting, and
Yeah.
Really, it should be about how can we use martial arts as a vehicle for self-improvement. And if we can help more people, then we're going to make the world better.
So if somebody asks you to break down what the amazing gift of martial art is, what would you describe to be the amazing gift?
The amazing gift. The amazing gift is life. I mean, it can't be put into one. It has to be put into those three. Because it was the three that I said. Through the fighting, you're going to develop more. You're going to develop more confidence.
Okay.
So you're going to feel better about yourself. As you feel better about yourself, you're going to have an easier time dealing with other things in your life. You're going to have an easier time dealing with work, dealing with your family. You're going to have an easier time dealing with stressful situations.
Yes.
As you get better and better at martial arts, think about all the best people that you know, and you know a lot. So think about all the best people. They're usually also some of the nicest people and some of the most peaceful people. Yeah. So there's exceptions, of course. But as a general, you can kind of look at it, and it's not a coincidence. Through the martial arts training, people, I think there's the natural ego that's in us starts to go away. As you start to get more confident in your skills, you just become a generally nicer and more peaceful person. You don't have a chip on your shoulder as much. You don't have as much to prove. So that's A. B would be what I already talked about the fitness. So many people, you look at the level of fitness in today's world. I know so many people that are, my age, and they're already limited on what they can do. They've got kids that want to go play, and they can't even go play with their kids because they're tired. So, I mean, if we can help people through martial arts get inspired to be a little bit more healthy, then their life is going to get better. They're going to get better because they're going to be able to do more. And then finally, the mindset. If they can get the mindset, get into a way of developing stillness, a way of developing a way to be able to approach their life and apply everything that we learn in martial arts to better themselves, then that's a skill that can go with them to the grave.
All right. So the physical aspect, the fitness stuff, and the fighting stuff is very evident in JKD. I mean, over the years. But you think then maybe the internal training is not something that was as visible? Or...
I guess yes and no. I mean, I think no, because I didn't find it until later in my JKD life. It was really Sifu Singh that started exposing me to all that, and I trained with a lot of Jeet Kune Do people before that, where it didn't exist. But now, knowing what I know, I kind of just it's puzzling to me how it wasn't. I mean, look on the wall behind me. We look at that symbol. I mean, that symbol is coming from the Tao. That's a Tai Chi symbol. You know, the saying around it comes out of the Tao. The book is called the Tao of Jeet Kune Do. So, I mean, anybody that looks at the clues, it's all laid out for us. It's just a matter of, have you taken the time to go and study some of the things that Bruce was studying, and I think it should be there. Yeah.
When was the bio written? The one that I obviously am pulling from.
You're pulling from the one that's on my website?
But here's the thing, right? So I found like 3 different websites for you.
Yeah, I had an old student that was a web designer, and I haven't had contact with him lately, and for whatever reason, he made the website but never put it under my domain. So yeah, I need to get that taken care of. Thanks for reminding me. But
no, it was great for me. I got like different stuff to it. So
well, you said things that I don't think that are in any of the old bios. So you're talking about things that are only in the updated bio. So yeah, that was actually that's pretty recent. That was actually written originally for there's a Buddha Brothers magazine is coming out, and I'm going to be featured in that magazine. So that was written for that. Okay.
All right. Yeah. The reason why I ask is because there's something in there about you being in your second year of either a 7 or a 9-year apprenticeship or instructorship program.
7-year and 9-year instructorship program. You're probably talking about the mysticism training.
Yes.
Yes. So through all the training that I was already doing, I was living in Monterey, and I started to train with Sifu Kelly Lake, and I'm currently training with him now. He's a disciple under Sifu Jerry Allen Johnson in Tai Chi and Bagua and Jingyi. And then he's currently teaching Taoist mysticism. So I got exposed to that whole crew and through Sifu Singh, and it kind of all connected with his existing Tai Chi lineage as well. So yeah, so I'm current. Me and Beverly both we're on year 2 now. So that's the recent article. We're on year 2 now of a 7-year Taoist mysticism course that'll basically training to become Taoist priest.
Wow. So Gabe Cannon sent us a message here. He goes, how did your trip to Foshan help you to grow in your study of Wing Chun and Jeet Kune Do?
Oh, man. I think more than anything was just the overall appreciation. You know, I think it, just if anybody gets the chance to, if anybody gets a chance to go over there, just seeing all the culture, seeing the history. There's like 3 great Ip Man museums that are there that you can go and see. So that was really powerful for me, just kind of connecting to the roots and, you know, where things came from. But then also, you know, we got to do a lot of Wing Chun exchange and got to see things. And I think just there's a real power. You know, there's so much debate on like what should be done and how things should be in Jeet Kune Do, and this was thrown away or this wasn't, and it all really doesn't matter. But even if you're not practicing, which I do, but even if you're not practicing a lot of those traditional arts, I think it's still it's really hard, I think, to fully understand Jeet Kune Do if you don't understand the process. You know, everybody's looking at the end result of, everybody wants to talk about what Bruce was doing at the end or what he got to, but what's more important is how did he get there? You know, what did he research? What were the things that led him down the path that created what we have now? And there's a great, it's one of my favorite quotes. I think it was on my website. There's a great Miyoto Musashi quote where he basically says the same thing. He says, see if I can do it without butchering it, but he says, one cannot truly understand the art that he is studying without diving deep into the reason for the study. And I'm sure I butchered that a little bit, but that's a quote that stuck to me pretty early on. So even really before I didn't have a lot of the traditional side. There was very little Wing Chun, basically no Tai Chi in my early years of Jeet Kune Do training with all the previous people. That all came from Sifu Singh. That was all things that he gave me.
I don't know if you can see the comments that are coming up, but there's somebody named K. Ellen Tardif Pratka says, proud mama.
She's the lady. None of that would be, you know, I said that I couldn't have done anything without my wife, Beverly. I couldn't have done it without my teacher, Sifu Singh. But, you know, before that, I couldn't have done any of it without her. Man, she's a superhero mom. Not only did she, I mean, she took me all around the country, even before I could, you know, travel on my own. You know, I talk about all the travels and going to train in different places. She was flying with me to take me to go train with people before I could, you know, drive myself, and let me turn her garage into my personal school. And yeah, she's been my rock and support system in this whole process. So
yeah. Oh, that's sweet. There was something I don't find it here in my notes, but okay, here it is. BJJ is a great art, and their limitations did not lie in the system, but in what they were applying it against.
That's
Elaborate
universal.
on that, please.
That's universal.
Yeah. So you applied that to
know,
JKD as well, then? You saw that in JKD too?
It could be there. Yeah, definitely. Okay. You're going to see that quote is more referencing, you know, an individual specialty style, you know, or something. But that's what I see so much today is, you know, we're still in the world where everybody wants to bash everybody else. Everybody wants to bash the other styles. Right. And that's really something that I'm against. I try to find ways to uplift, you know, everybody regardless of their passion. So, I mean, we interact with so many, through the JKDA, we interact with so many people that are all specialists of individual styles. And so I get to see, you know, so many styles at their highest level. And I'm like, man, these guys are really good. So when I hear somebody bashing, you know, an individual system, it's frustrating for me, because it's not ever the system that's flawed. I use BJJ in the example because if you look at the old days of jiu-jitsu, especially if, you know, you go read all the stories of the Gracies back in Brazil, they were constantly testing their stuff, and basically what would be MMA. The person's coming at them trying to hit them.
Yeah.
Nowadays I have friends that they go in and they roll and they do that and they get pretty good, but they've never had anyone actually try to punch them because they just put on their gis and they go and they roll. So you could do the same thing if you look at Taekwondo. You got two Taekwondo people that spar each other all the time. They spar each other with Taekwondo. So they're building their timing, they're building the reflexes, they're building all of their system based on fighting someone of their own system. Same thing goes in Wing Chun. You have guys that are excellent in Wing Chun, but they do all of their sparring from Chi Sao. Well, the person's not going to do Chi Sao with you on the street. So that was basically just trying to make people see that it's not the art that is limited. It's the person that's limited because you're not applying your art against other things. You can if you took the greatest Taekwondo fighter in the world, what would his limitation be? His limitation would be that he doesn't have ground fighting.
Right.
So I'm not going to try to make that person become a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I need to make sure that person learns good takedown defense and then learns how to get up if he gets taken down.
Yeah.
So that all of a sudden changes the game. So it's what are you training in an art where you're only applying your art to your same art? I mean, only like 5% of the world's population trains in martial arts. So the chances of you getting in a fight with another martial artist is already low. Now you factor that in with all the martial arts in the world, and then say you're going to get in a fight with somebody of your same style. The odds are not really stacked in your favor for that.
Right. Yeah.
So I think it's completely fine to have a specialty style. We just need to apply it against everything that's possible.
Okay. All right. So here's my assessment of you. Not that you asked for it. Here's my assessment of you. Your bottom line is observation and application of the principle with a view towards being integrated.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's my assessment. Yeah. I love it. I love it because here's what's happening. What you're talking about is actual truth. You see? What you're talking about is not BSing yourself, right? Observing what really happens and developing a system, a plan to deal with it. Well, that's not just martial art, is it? That's life.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, it has to be. If not, why are we spending this much? Look at the amount of time that we all spend training. It's kind of ridiculous if we're doing all this for the possibility that we may get in a fight one day.
Right.
If you're not taking this and applying it to life, then you're spending a whole lot of time on something that may or may not happen.
But why are so many people adamant in their insistence on you got to be able to fight, you got to be able to fight, you got to be able to fight? Are there no lessons that can be extracted from Jeet Kune Do unless there's fighting involved?
Oh, yeah. So
I love talking to people like you.
Yeah, no, that's a good one, Dwight. So I'm on both sides of this argument.
Okay.
I'm very big on functionalization. So I'm very big on making sure that
stand for your phone, man.
Yeah. Well, I had a stand, but I didn't know that I needed the earphones.
Oh,
and so with the earphones in the stand, it didn't work.
Okay, sorry.
The phone was too far away.
Okay, round two will be better prepared.
I got you for round two.
All right.
So being able to fight, I think, it's why we got into it. So it's definitely the foundation, and you have to be able to fight, or else you are just BSing. But I think even people out there that are BSing, there's so many people that they want to cast hate to people because they don't think that they're good, or they're running a program and they're not really good fighters or whatever, what I will still go in and look at, obviously I want that person to grow and become a better martial artist and become a better fighter. So that's why I try to help those people, rather than put them down. I want to go in and I want to help them, and I want to say, okay, look, that's great that you got all these students and that you're providing this service. Now let's work on you. Let's work on developing you as a better fighter so you can help them even more. But do I think that you have to be a great fighter in order to help a human being? Absolutely not. The values in martial arts go so far beyond, and we can see that with all the traditional martial arts today. You get outside of Jeet Kune Do, you'll see it even more. What are all the biggest schools? It's karate schools, it's taekwondo schools, and some of these guys are really good, some of them are really not. But we got to look at how many people are they serving? They're still serving more people than most of us are in the Jeet Kune Do community. So they are doing something right, because they're people that they may not be learning, not all of them, they may not be learning the best fighting material possible, but they may be learning how to be better people. And how many of those guys are actually getting into fights? The people that really think they're going to be getting into fights, most of the time they're seeking us out anyway. So I think as Jeet Kune Do, we need to get out of our box. We need to stop fighting over the 5% of the world's population that are fighters, and we need to figure out how we can help some of the people that are not fighters and still teach them how to fight in the process. Right.
So that's something you learned from observation of the method that the karate and taekwondo schools were using for success?
Not even really from observing them, just really from, from observing them, but I think just across the board, there's a lot of negativity in the Jeet Kune Do community towards some of those traditional methods. And, so I try to look at everything objectively. I try to look at everything and say, okay, I can see where they're coming from, but there has to be something that they're providing. And so when searching for, well, what are they providing? Well, for one, they've got more students than all of Jeet Kune Do combined. Right. They're doing something right. So rather than be angry that they have more students than us, rather than being angry that we think we have a better product and theirs is less superior, we need to look at, well, why are they successful, and how can we take what we have, what they have, and get more people into what we do, and make the world a better place.
So what is it that they're doing right? What is it that those schools are doing right?
What those schools are doing right, I think, is focusing on a lifestyle more. Focusing on the life. I think we get so caught up in, again, I'm a martial artist. I train to fight every day. I get fighters under me that compete. I got people that are, in law enforcement, military. So across the board, I'm working with all different kinds of people. So everybody has their reasons. But again, we're talking about a very small percentage of the population that even cares about fighting. Now, I've got a ton of people that have came to me that didn't care at all about fighting now, that are actually good fighters. Yeah. But I sold them on the lifestyle. I sold them on the improvement of what this can do for their life. And so that's why they stuck around. If all you care about is making good fighters, and that's truly what you care about in your heart, and you're going to teach and you're going to have a class of 10 people and you're happy with that, then that's great. And I'm not knocking that if that's your thing. Right. But for me, I want to influence and help the world. So for that, I want to grow the art. I want more people to be exposed to the positive benefits that it's had in my life. Yeah. And so to do that, I can't just look at the 5% of people that care about fighting all the time. I got to look at, okay, well, what about this mother over here? What about this father that doesn't really care? He's a lawyer. He doesn't really care about fighting, but he can get benefits from this martial way of life that we live. And then through that, all of a sudden, now you got somebody that didn't care about fighting, and now they're actually good. It's just the approach that you take, I think. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So we're coming up on 60 minutes here. Did the other two show up, or are they still not there?
Yeah, they're I think they just walked in. Bev, Gunnar. Yeah, I hear some noise. Yeah, here they come.
Yeah.
So can I take my earphones out for this?
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's see if we can get both of them. I don't know if your screen probably won't do it. And yeah. Okay. So see the head. So give the headset to one of them.
Oh, give the headset to one. Okay.
Yeah.
As I unplugged the headset completely. Hang on.
Well, hello.
Hi there.
Hang on just a second. Let me put these things in.
Okay.
There we go. Hi.
So just so you know, we were talking about you for the last 60 minutes. I don't know anything about him. I know everything there is to know about you.
My ears were burning.
Except, I don't know if how you got into martial art.
It was all because of Clay.
Okay.
He's the reason why I found what was missing from my life.
Yeah.
So, I never did anything growing up. I was never really exposed to martial arts as a kid. I was a really big tomboy, so I tried all of the, the girly stuff like ballet and gymnastics, and never really connected to anything. So it makes me kind of sad, that I didn't find it as a child, but I also think everything happens for a reason. So
right.
You find things when you're supposed to find things.
Okay.
And I'd never done a self-defense class, anything, and I met Clay when I was 18 years old, and he was just opening his first school here in El Campo, and I walked in, and it was kind of my first time seeing anything like this, and it's actually a pretty funny story, the first class I ever watched, but anyway.
Okay.
Fell in love with it, and it was pretty crazy experience for me getting that.
Okay, now of course we're just gonna gloss over a lot of stuff, but when I get you on your own episode, we're gonna dive deeper. But I wanted to ask you, why did you go along on the Kung Fu adventure?
Well, I mean,
it was a crazy thing to do,
It is. Now that I look back, if I would go back in time and like tell myself before I met Clay that this was what I was going to do and this was the life I was going to live, I would think that I was completely insane. Like I would never have believed anything like that would ever happen. So,
yeah.
But I mean, it was crazy because as soon as I was exposed to it, I completely fell in love with it. It was just like instant, like it's literally, like I said, the thing that was missing from my life. So as soon as I found it, I grabbed onto it, and I did everything that I could to completely dive as deeply as I could into the arts.
And is your video series already out, or it's gonna be coming out soon?
We're working on it. I don't have anything released yet. I mean, I've done like some little clips here and there for Buddha Brothers and stuff like that, but nothing on a large scale yet.
Okay, cool.
It's coming.
Cool. All right. Yeah, I wanted to get the three of you on camera all at the same time, but the technology doesn't allow it. But I'll be coming your way again to get you on your own episode. Okay.
Awesome.
All right. Is Mr. Davis there?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Gunnar.
Yeah, just if you could pass the headset over to him.
Yeah. And there's Kali here.
Oh, man. Yeah, we'll get Kali on her own episode also.
Oh, he's talking.
Okay. Hey, what's happening, Captain?
You tell me, man. How is it going with you?
Oh, dude, it's another day. I'm breathing, so I'm blessed.
All right. Well, look, when I get you on your own episode, the first thing I'm going to ask you is about running the school, because here's what the bio says. We're now living back in Texas full time. Gunnar kept his promise.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. We do not have enough of that type of loyalty in the JKD world.
I completely agree, man.
People
go in for something completely different. I went in for something completely different and realized I found another brother. So it's the brotherhood. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what's missing. I agree.
This is why I told Sifu Singh that I was so excited to be talking with you guys, because if I remember correctly, I reached out to you first because I thought, that Texas JKD was you. And if I remember correctly, you said, no, you can't interview me before you interview Clay Pratka.
That's correct. Yeah, I mean, I would have felt shamed. I would have felt like I was shamed my teacher, you know? Hey, Kyle, hey, sorry he wants to be in here. But, I mean, I can see that because since I was here running for quite a bit, there's probably a lot of videos out, and you see my face a lot and stuff like that. But, I mean, he's everything he's why I am, you know, who I am.
That's awesome.
Here and stuff like that. So
that's the coolest thing. Yeah. So as I was reading the bio, I go, wait, no, Clay and Beverly are a team. I got to get both of them on the show. Then I'm reading a little bit more, and I go, no, it's the three of them that are the unit.
Yeah, man. You have to have both sides of the symbol and then the line that comes between them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's I feel like we're the trifecta. We all balance each other.
Okay. It's a pleasure to make the acquaintance of all three of you.
Oh, for sure.
And I'll be coming your way also, okay?
Yes, sir. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Good one. Okay. All right. Can you pass me back to him and let me just wrap up?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thanks much.
All right, I'm back.
All right. So thank you so much for doing this and making the two of them available to me. I really appreciate it. I was really excited to do this and get to know you guys a little bit better. There will be a round two. I can assure you of that. All right?
Definitely.
Okay. But keep on doing what you're doing, man. You guys are a bright or a beacon out there in the Jeet Kune Do world, and I wish you all the best in future endeavors.
Definitely. Thank you, Dwight.
All right. Okay. All right. So we'll talk again soon.
Okay. Sounds good. Looking forward to it.
Take care, man.
Yep.
All right. So I never even did an official welcome, but for those of you still around, that was episode number 52 of the Jeet Kune Do Dialogues with Clay and Beverly Pratka and Gunnar Davis of Texas JKD Athletic Club, right? I think. So thanks to Sifu Harinder Singh for sending those guys my way. And let's see, I don't have next week's guest already confirmed. I'm working on something special for the remainder of March. So I can't tell you who's going to be on next time. But you guys know the deal. Sign up for notifications for when we go live on Facebook. And also subscribe over at the YouTube to both the Jeet Kune Do Dialogues channel and the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcast channel. Follow me on Twitter at Dwight Woods, on Instagram at Dwight D. Woods, and at ilovejeetkunዶ.com is the Quick Skills Series, Volume 1, and then show some support for the shows at jkdrebel.com/store. All right? Okay, that's it. Join me next week. I will be here. All right, I'll definitely be here, and we'll see who's coming on. All right, this is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Do Rebel, signing off. You guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you around next time. Take care.